At some point, more people are going to figure out that this enormous amount of violence directed at Jewish people in places like Williamsburg, places like Los Angeles, California, is not from these secret enclave of white Nazis crawling out of the sewers, attacking Jewish people with cars, as we're going to see in a moment, attacking synagogues with graffiti, attacking other places, and trying to blame it on white nationalists and Nazis. At some point, people are going to figure out the level of black on Jewish crime and violence is wildly out of proportion.
LAPD believes strongly that there's enough here for a hate crime. That'll be up to the DA. It happened in the synagogue right behind me, and the events that have happened are so serious and so heinous that the FBI has been brought in to aid in this investigation on Friday night.
Beating and screaming, effing Jew, effing Jew, effing Jew.
He didn't want to give his name or show his face, but the LAPD says he is definitely a victim of a hate crime caused by the man they say was driving this car, caught on security camera.
We believe at this point that this is a lone individual.
According to police, after the racial slurs, he backed up his car, made a U-turn, and police say then tried to purposely run over two men who were leaving the synagogue. He then continued to speed down Oakwood, tried to cross Highland where he crashed into another car, spun out of control, and the man you see getting out of that car has been identified as Mohammed Abdi. Police say he's a Somali national, a U.S. citizen who, according to sources, has been in the Los Angeles area for less than 2 weeks. And on the dashboard of Abdi's car, a copy of the Quran.
Our housekeeper went to offer him some water. He said, I'd rather have a beer. And he was just completely inappropriate.
This video was taken from Saul Newman's home. It shows Abdi wandering around, making no attempt to flee the scene. About 5 minutes after the crash, people from the synagogue come racing to the scene. Police had now arrived, and they told officers what had happened at the synagogue. That's when officers questioned Abdi and then handcuffed him, took him into custody, and he's now booked for assault with a deadly weapon, his car, and a hate crime.
He was laughing the entire time. He was actually dancing. You can clearly see in his face that he just wanted to do something.
At today's news conference, it was made clear, because the intended targets were aware of their surroundings and never took their eyes off the driver of that car, that's what saved them.
Here's a story out of Brooklyn. Here's a picture of one of the fellas that just finished beating the crap out of a 9-year-old Jewish boy, Orthodox Jewish kid who was dressed in a clearly, plainly identifiable Jewish clothing. If you go down to the end of the story, it goes, oh yeah, that happened with another group of fellas. A cop told me the fella part. That happened with another group of fellas 30 minutes before, but don't worry about it because there's no connection, there's no pattern, there's no nothing. And by the way, all crime in New York City is the responsibility of big bad white racists who are attacking black people. That's what the mayor would have us believe, Mayor de Blasio. Here's something that happened just a few weeks ago. Do you remember this one? Bunch of fellas standing outside of a synagogue. They threw a pole through the window. One of these ornate stained glass windows. And they ran away, laughing, laughing, laughing. We just did a story out of Antioch, California, a story of fake hate. Somebody, well, let's just listen to it because this is also a form of violence.
The first graffiti was spotted by an Antioch resident leaving his church Sunday morning after services. It was mostly spray paint on cars in the City Hall parking lot. But then more graffiti turned up on that man's place of worship the very next day. The Church of God Holy was hit with 4 swastikas and foul language.
This Williamsburg area is not just a center of Orthodox Jewish communities. It's also a center of it's also a place where black people have been targeting Jewish people for violence, street violence, for a very long time. A couple of years ago, the knockout game, or at least news of the knockout game, spiked in Williamsburg. I was all over this, talking all about it. Finally, it got so bad, even the councilwoman who represents that area, Laurie Kumbo, remember her? She's the one who said, yeah, well, I'm really sorry about all the black on Jewish violence out there. I'm really, really sorry about that. But of course, you know why it's happening. It's happening because Jewish people, black people believe Jewish people do not want to share their success. But yeah, next time I saw Laurie Kumbo after that, she was giving Hillary Clinton a tour of her district. A couple weeks ago, we did a story about a black guy that was chasing Jewish people through a Jewish neighborhood in that area, and they caught him. Then the next day, the Jewish people in the neighborhood went to their synagogue. They had a big hullabaloo where they had some black people and Jewish people on the steps, and the Jewish people assured us that Jewish people and black people in this neighborhood get along just fine. We're not going to let anything like this, set apart our great relations. And at the time, the black kid standing next to the speaker, he's down there texting somebody. He's looking at his instant messages. He did not give a damn what that guy was saying at that dog and pony show. The dog and pony show was trying to make us think something that is not. Trying to make us think that the fellas get along just fine with Jewish people when they do not.
Please, sir, I want some more.
But at least pretending that that this level of crime, violence, and mayhem, black on Jewish, doesn't exist. At least pretending that, well, that's not going to make the black kids angry.